They called me lucky. A single mom who got lucky by marrying rich. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't just building a life. I was building an empire. Behind every whispered insult, behind every condescending laugh, I was watching, learning, and planning. This isn't just a story about revenge. It's about rising when the world tells you to stay down. It's about showing them exactly what happens when you underestimate the quiet ones. I'm just saying she got lucky. Chelsea's voice cut through the air like a blade. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. She's just a single mom who happened to marry rich. No degree, no career, nothing real behind it, she said, laughing as she sipped her mimosa like it was truth serum. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where you're from and which city you're watching our videos from. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what you would do in this situation. Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. The others chuckled, including my brother Brian, who gave a little nod, clearly trying to keep up with his wife's social flex. I sat there quietly at the brunch table, sunlight pouring through the glass walls of their sleek Manhattan penthouse. Chelsea had invited all of Brian's colleagues and their wives for an intimate family brunch, which felt more like a performance. I wasn't dressed in Chanel, and my toddler had spilled milk on my sleeve that morning. So clearly I didn't belong. You know what I mean, right, Ashley? Chelsea turned to the redhead sitting beside her, a woman I barely knew. Like, there's a difference between women who build things and women who get lucky. Ashley gave me an awkward glance. She has no place here, Chelsea whispered, but loud enough that the entire table could hear. I blinked. The room was suddenly too bright, too loud, and too small. My son Noah was with the nanny downstairs. I'd wanted him to be with me, but Chelsea said it was an adult brunch. I should have known better. I stood up quietly. The chatter paused. I didn't say a word. I just grabbed my purse and tried to breathe. It wasn't anger. Not yet. Just that familiar pressure behind the ribs.
Shame.
The kind you carry when you've been dismissed without being allowed to defend yourself. I was halfway to the elevator when a sleek black Escalade rolled to a stop outside the building's glass entry. My husband stepped out, 6 feet 3 inches, slate gray suit, aviators on. His presence made people stand. Silence fell inside as the doorman practically sprinted to greet him. He walked straight into the building up the stairs, ignoring the doorman's mention of an elevator, and then pushed open the brunch doors like he owned the air inside. Because he did. Funny, he said, looking directly at Chelsea, then at Brian, whose face was already pale. I came for her. The silence cracked.
Chelsea blinked fast.
Wait, he turned to me, smiled like I was the only person that mattered in the room, and extended his hand. Come on, baby. I've had enough fake brunches this week. I slid my hand into his, and his fingers tightened protectively around mine. And just like that, the girl they all mocked was walking out with the very man they spent the last 10 minutes name-dropping, trying to impress, only to realize too late that he was mine. But what none of them knew, not yet, was what I was building behind the scenes. Because I didn't just marry a powerful man. I was becoming one. And this war, it was only just beginning. The car door shut behind me, sealing away the awkward tension of the brunch table like it was yesterday's trash. I leaned my head back against the leather seat, silent, trying to slow my breath. My husband glanced over, his fingers still loosely holding mine. You good? He asked, voice low and calm. But I saw the flicker of something darker in his eyes. Something that only came out when someone hurt me. I nodded slowly. I shouldn't have come. You should have, he replied, tugging my hand gently. They just shouldn't have spoken to you like that. I gave a dry laugh. You saw their faces, he smirked. Yeah, I think Brian choked on his ego. The car pulled away from the curb, rolling through the streets of Manhattan like a silent tank. But the truth was, I wasn't okay. Not really, because this wasn't the first time I'd been made to feel small. Like I was just a side piece in someone else's spotlight. Like my story didn't matter. Chelsea had always hated me. Ever since the wedding, she married Brian thinking she'd be the queen of the family. But then I met Ethan and the world shifted. She called me a lucky waitress. She didn't know I had been working 2 jobs, raising Noah alone, clawing my way out of the debt my ex dumped on me before vanishing. She didn't know the sleepless nights, the skipped meals, or the silent tears and locked bathroom stalls. All she saw was the ring on my finger, and to her, that meant I hadn't earned a damn thing. But what none of them understood was I wasn't just Ethan's wife. I was building something brick by brick. 3 years ago, when Ethan married me, he didn't just hand me luxury. He handed me trust. He taught me how to read financials, how to understand acquisitions, how to see loopholes in contracts, how to build a team. I'd started small, a quiet real estate investment in Brooklyn, then another in Jersey, then a startup fund for women-led local businesses. Last month, I acquired my 5th property under the company I started from my dining table, Sable Rise Group. They didn't know I was already sitting on assets worth 8 figures. They didn't know I had just been invited to speak at a private equity panel in DC. And they definitely didn't know I was working with Ethan's firm to secure a deal that would shift the entire luxury hotel market in New York. And Chelsea's daddy's portfolio sat right in the middle of it. So, no, I wasn't going to cry over brunch mimosas. Let them laugh. Let them call me lucky. Because luck wasn't what got me here.
Pain did.
Grit did. Sleepless nights, unpaid bills, screaming into pillows so my son wouldn't hear. That's what built the woman I was now. And I wasn't finished. Later that evening, as I sat on our balcony, laptop open, finalizing a deal proposal, Ethan walked out holding Noah, already in pajamas. My son curled into my side like he always did, and Ethan kissed the top of my head. "You thinking about Chelsea?" he asked. I shrugged. "Not really. I heard something today," he said, sitting down beside me. "Brian's company is in trouble. Major investors pulling out. SEC's sniffing around." I paused. "Oh, really?" I said too calmly.
He looked at me.
"You thinking what I'm thinking?" A slow smile crept up my face. "Maybe it's time Sable Rise made a move." Ethan grinned. "Now that's my girl." And in that moment, I wasn't just the woman who got mocked at brunch. I was the woman planning a takeover. The woman about to show them exactly what kind of luck I had. 2 days later, I was sitting in a conference room in Midtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble table, men in suits who barely looked at me when I entered. Typical, but they would. "Gentlemen," I began, standing at the head of the table. My voice didn't shake. "I'm here to make an offer." One of them, gray hair, smug eyes, folded his arms. "And who exactly are you?" I smiled. "I'm the founder and managing partner of Sable Rise Group. We've been quietly acquiring distressed commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. I believe you're familiar with this portfolio." I slid a folder across the table. Inside market projections, audit flags, valuation breakdowns, and a signed letter of intent to purchase controlling shares of Barrow and Finch, my brother's company. Now, they were silent because the name Sable Rise had been circulating for months, and nobody had managed to connect it to me until now. One man leaned forward. "Wait, you're her?" I tilted my head slightly. "Her who?" His lips parted, but he didn't say it. Didn't say the single mom or the wife of Ethan Wright because, in that moment, I wasn't anyone's shadow. I was the storm. "I know Barrow and Finch is bleeding," I said. "I also know that they've been hiding key losses for the last 3 quarters. What I'm offering is a full acquisition, cash clean. You'll walk away with your skin intact." "And your brother?" one of them asked. I stared at him. He should have been careful who he laughed at. That evening, I sat in the back of a quiet jazz lounge in Soho, laptop on the table, reviewing numbers. My son was asleep at home. Ethan was at a business dinner uptown.
I needed silence to think.
And then my phone buzzed. Chelsea, of course. I let it go to voicemail. Then it buzzed again. A text this time. "Did you seriously just buy into Brian's company? Are you insane?" I didn't answer. She was finally catching on. But this wasn't just about business. This was about every time I sat at that brunch table swallowing my dignity. About the time they laughed when I showed up in thrift store boots. The time she told me Noah would probably grow up confused without a real father. And the time she smiled when my car broke down outside their building and didn't offer to help. This was never just about money. It was about respect, about rebuilding what they tried to break. 3 days later, I was invited to a last-minute family dinner at Brian's place. The same penthouse, same polished wine glasses. Chelsea wore diamonds again, but this time they were trying. Brian pulled out my chair. Chelsea complimented my coat. Everyone was syrupy, but I already knew. The sale had gone through that morning, quietly, strategically. My holding company now owned 62% of Barrow and Finch. My brother was no longer CEO, and they didn't even know who had replaced him until the elevator opened. Ethan walked in first. He smiled, gave Brian the polite nod, then stepped aside, and I walked in behind him. I wasn't in heels. I wasn't in anything designer, just a sleek black suit. My hair pulled back and a folder in my hand.
Chelsea froze.
Brian stood up. "What's going on?" I opened the folder and handed it to him. "This is your official notice. Effective immediately, the board has appointed a new interim CEO of Barrow and Finch." His hands trembled slightly. "You're kidding." I met his eyes. "No, Brian.
I'm not.
Silence. The kind that makes your lungs feel too big for your chest. Chelsea whispered, "This is insane." Ethan laughed softly behind me. "No, this is what happens when you underestimate the quiet one." I stepped closer. "You tried to break me again and again, but you didn't see what I was building." I paused. "You called me lucky, but I wasn't lucky. I was watching. I was learning. And now I'm running everything you thought I'd never understand." Chelsea opened her mouth, but nothing came out. And then Noah's voice rang behind us from the hallway. "Mommy." He came running in, our nanny behind him. I scooped him up, holding him tight. Because this moment wasn't just for me. It was for every woman who got laughed at. Every single mom they called a burden. Every quiet girl they thought wouldn't fight back. And the best part? This was only part 3.